What if the world you see is not the world that is, but the world your field permits you to perceive? You awaken each morning into what appears to be a familiar reality, solid objects, passing time, relationships unfolding like clockwork. But what if I told you when none of it is as fixed as it seems? What if behind every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every step you take, is there an invisible architecture, an energy field that responds to your mental command? In ancient temples, long before the rise of modern science, mystics and sages knew this secret. They understood that your mind is not in your body, and that your body is not in the world, but that the world itself is shaped by the dance between your consciousness and the energy field surrounding it. This field, what some called the aura, others named prana, chi, or gone, or spiritus, has been whispered about across cultures, buried in scrolls, hinted in parables, and encoded into symbols. But today, we are going to bring it into the light. Not with vague affirmations or surface-level advice, but with a direct, no-nonsense guide to mentally commanding this field. Let me be clear. This is not just about positive thinking or trendy manifestation jargon. This is about reclaiming your original authority, the birthright encoded in the silent spaces between your thoughts. Because here's the secret. Your energy field does not just respond to how you feel. It bends to the shape of your dominant mental image. What you habitually envision, feel, and believe becomes an invisible instruction, not just to the universe, but to the very gridwork of your reality. But most have forgotten how to speak this language. They've lost their internal posture. Their minds are scattered, their field disrupted. And so life feels random, chaotic, like a storm without a center. But you're here, and that changes everything. In this sacred space, we are not here to impress the ego. We are here to initiate the soul. We'll travel through ancient teachings, decode forgotten codes, and then I will give you tools. Not fluff, not vague ideas, but spiritual technologies that will awaken your sovereign influence over your energy field. You will come to see that every thought is a key, every emotion a wave, and every intention, when properly aligned, has the power to shape the entire field around you. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand what the energy field is, you will feel it. You will command it, you will walk differently, speak differently, think differently, because you will no longer be the one seeking power. You will remember, you are the field, you are the command, you are the gatekeeper. So now take a breath, not a shallow one, but the kind that stirs the memory of your eternal self. Let go of what you think you know. For what we are about to uncover is older than time and truer than the ground beneath your feet. The field is listening. Long before the word energy became a placeholder for the unexplainable, there were civilizations who did not wonder about the unseen forces around them. They lived by them. To understand the energy field, we must go back, not decades but millennia, to a time when the sacred and the scientific were one, when breath was a ritual, thought was alchemy, and the space between things was seen not as emptiness but as presence. Let's begin in ancient Kemet, the land we now call Egypt. Here, priests and initiates spoke of the Ka and the Ba, energetic components of the soul. The Ka was your life force field, the energetic twin that animated your form. The Ba, your eternal essence. Together they interacted with the physical world through something few remember, Heka, the power of intentional utterance. Heka wasn't just speech, it was the art of mental vibration, encoded with will, spoken into the field to shape destiny. They built temples not just to worship, but to tune the human energy field. Each corridor, each glyph, each rite was a form of energetic calibration. The initiate learned that before you build a pyramid in stone, you must build one in thought. Before the eye sees change, the field must shift. Now travel east with me, to ancient India, where sages spoke of prana, the life force that flows through the nadis and spins within the chakras. But here's what S often missed. They didn't see chakras as mere spiritual points to imagine. They saw them as conscious portals that could be activated through willful awareness. When the yogi stilled his mind, not just into silence, but into precision, he could manipulate this internal field and cause outer reality to bend accordingly. This is why meditation was never meant to be an escape. It was a weapon of refinement, a way to focus the mind like a blade of light and send that light into the auric body to reprogram not just health, but fate. The Taoists of ancient China gave us another layer. They saw the field as qi, a flowing, intelligent breath of the cosmos that could be harmonized within. Through inner alchemy, breathwork, and specific body postures, they moved this qi like a painter with invisible ink, crafting destiny from within. The great Tao, they said, is the source of everything, and the sage does not force the field, he flows with it, until the field responds with perfect synchronicity. The secret was not control through effort, but alignment through inner stillness. And this is something we will return to in depth later. But perhaps the most curious mystery comes from the Essenes, a mystical sect connected to early Judaic wisdom, often linked to the teacher known as Yeshua, or Jesus. They understood the field through something they called the sacred breath. Their writing spoke of fields of light surrounding every person, and that through a fusion of feeling, thought, and breath, they could command that field to open doors in both the material and spiritual realms. They didn't believe in begging God for miracles. They believed in becoming the vessel through which God expressed them. A radical, empowering idea, one that threatened religious institutions who preferred people remain unaware of their divine circuitry. Even in tribal Africa, the field was known, not through books but through drum, dance, and trance. Shamans would enter altered states, not to escape reality, but to reorganize the invisible scaffolding of their people's world, to call rain, to heal bones, to receive messages from the ancestors encoded in the frequency of the field. From the aboriginal dreamtime of Australia to the hidden knowledge in South American curanderismo, from Celtic druidry to the Hermetic schools of Alexandria, the story repeats: there is an invisible field. It is responsive, and the mind can shape it. But here's the tragedy of the modern age. We stopped teaching this. The mystery schools closed. The inner maps were buried under concrete. The field was renamed placebo, coincidence or hallucination. And the only thing left to believe in, Chen, was the five senses. We forgot that reality is not built from atoms, but intention wrapped in perception. We forgot that emotions are not just fleeting moods. They are vibrational charges that broadcast into the field, calling forth experiences of a matching frequency. We forgot that thought is not just internal chatter. It is a directive, encoded with electrical and magnetic force, echoing out into the matrix of life. In this forgetting, we handed over our birthright. We became reactors instead of creators, victims of waves instead of architects of tides. But there's good news. The wisdom was never truly lost, only hidden, waiting in old scrolls, waiting in dreams, waiting in the space between words, waiting for the one bold enough to remember. And if you are still here, that one may be you. In a moment, we will begin to unlock this truth, piece by piece, image by image, practice by practice. But for now, let this truth settle into your spirit. You were never meant to feel powerless. You were never meant to be at the mercy of reality. You were always meant to command the energy field, not through domination, but through resonance. And now, the sacred art begins to awaken in you once more. To control the energy field mentally, you must first understand what the field truly is, and more importantly, what it is not. Most people imagine the energy field as a colorful aura, a soft glow that surrounds the body like a mood ring. But this is only the shallowest layer of a vast multidimensional structure. What you call your energy is not a byproduct of the body. It is the original blueprint of your being. Your body is suspended within it, not the other way around. Think of it like this. Your consciousness is a stone thrown into a still pond. That stone sends out ripples in all directions. Ripples made of thought, emotion, memory, attention, belief. Those ripples are your field. They are invisible to the naked eye, but they create pressure waves in the subtle realm. Disturbances that shape what comes toward you and what is repelled. Every person you attract, every opportunity you miss, every repeating pattern is a symptom of the patterns vibrating within your field. Now here is the ancient secret most never hear. The field does not obey the words you say. It obeys the image you hold. When the mystics spoke of the single eye or the eye of the heart, they were not speaking metaphorically. They referred to the inner lens of the imagination, the capacity to hold a mental picture so clearly, so viscerally, that the field could no longer distinguish between what is thought and what is real. This is the first key to mental command. Your energy field responds not to the conscious mind's wishes, but to the subconscious mind's images. In the language of mystics, as within so without, does not mean your mood shapes your day. It means the inner architecture of your mental world projects itself outward, forming the illusion you call your life. Let me show you a story. There was once a monk who meditated in the mountains for 7 years. He sought enlightenment, but it would not come. He fasted, prayed, chanted, but still the heavens were silent. One day, exhausted and ready to give up, he fell asleep and dreamed of a temple. In this dream, he saw a version of himself, radiant, powerful, calm, seated in golden robes, surrounded by peace. He woke up in tears, not because he was sad, but because for the first time he saw what he was becoming. That image etched itself into his heart, and within a week, his entire energy field shifted. Not through effort, through alignment with a new mental picture. This is how it begins, not with force, but with vision. Now let's go deeper. The energy field contains 3 primary layers that your mind can shape: the emotional layer, the mental layer, and the causal layer. The emotional layer is the most volatile. It is shaped by your reactions, memories, and unresolved wounds. This layer often broadcasts without your permission. If you are full of unprocessed grief or anger, it sends ripples into the field, attracting people and events that match that signal. The mental layer is the layer of belief. It holds your assumptions, narratives, and inner dialogues. It is the architect of your visible world. What you believe, even if you do not say it aloud, writes code into the field. The causal layer is the origin point. It is not emotional and it is not verbal. It is pure intention, the place where your soul sets direction before your personality even knows what it's doing. Few access this layer, but when they do, miracles happen almost instantly, because it is a direct command from the deepest truth of your being. So how does mental control happen? First, you must still water. As long as your thoughts are scattered, your emotions chaotic, and your attention divided, the field receives mixed signals. It becomes incoherent, like static on a radio. You cannot control what you do not understand. That is why the ancient sages began every ritual, every act of manifestation, with one sacred task: silence the mind. Anchor the breath, still the waters. From that stillness, they would construct a single unified image and project it into the field like a ray of focused sunlight through a crystal lens. And here is where it gets mystical. When your thought is coherent, your emotion is aligned, and your image is stable, the field begins to entrain with your vision. Reality itself starts bending, not because you are doing magic, but because you are restoring divine order in your own vibration. You stop asking life to change. You start commanding it through alignment. But this is not about domination. It's about responsibility. You must become ruthlessly honest with yourself. What mental images do you rehearse each day? What narratives do you play on repeat? What assumptions do you speak into the silence of your own mind? The field listens to all of it, without judgment, without delay. And so if your inner world is full of fear, worry, lack, resentment, the field will simply mirror it. But if you learn to hold beauty in your mind, if you envision wholeness, speak harmony, breathe with intention, feel as if the miracle is already here, then you do not attract the miracle. You become the point of origin for it. The field doesn't need permission, it only needs instruction. And mental control is not about forcing it, it's about purifying the instruction. Purifying your thoughts, purifying your images, purifying your emotional signature, until your very being is a clear signal, a tuning fork for what is holy, beautiful, and aligned with truth. This is the beginning of mastery, and we have only just begun to scratch the surface. Now that you've glimpsed how the energy field responds to mental imagery, let us descend one layer deeper into the paradox that governs it, The more you try to control the field from the ego, the more it resists you. This is the cosmic riddle. Control in the spiritual sense is not about tight grasping, it is about clarity without compulsion. Like the sun that shines without straining, like the wind that carries its message without force. The moment your will becomes anxious, demanding, or rooted in desperation, the field contracts. It does not respond to fear-disguised intention. It waits, it withholds, it mirrors. This is why the masters taught non-attachment as the highest form of energetic command. Because the mind must speak with certainty, but the heart must remain soft. You do not beg the field, you bless it. You do not chase energy, you become the resonance that draws it. Let me offer you a mystery wrapped in metaphor. Imagine standing before a great lake, still, vast, and mirror-like. If you hurl stones of thought with chaotic force, the ripples become tangled, the reflection breaks. But if you drop one clear image into its center, gently, reverently, the ripples move out in perfect symmetry. Now understand this. The energy field is that lake. Your mind is the stone. Your belief is the weight. Drop the image lightly and let it go. You must release your grip on the outcome, not as a passive resignation, but as a profound act of trust. Trust that once the image is cast, the field will organize. Not always in the way the ego demands, but always in the pattern that most perfectly reflects your deepest internal state. And here is another hidden truth. The field speaks in feeling far more fluently than it speaks in words. You may say, "I am abundant," but if your nervous system is contracted in fear, the field will echo that. You may visualize love, but if your heart is armored by old pain, the field will mirror that. This is the shadow many manifestation teachings ignore. They give you words, techniques, rituals, but they don't tell you cannot fool the field. You can only tune to it. This is why shadow work is not optional, it's essential, because every unhealed wound carries a vibration, every grudge a frequency, every suppressed truth an interference pattern in the field. If you do not face these things, they will broadcast from you subconsciously. They will shape your reality more than any affirmation ever could. This is not punishment, it is precision. The energy field is not a genie, it is a mirror made of light and law. It does not care what you want, it reflects what you are. And what you are is what you believe, feel, imagine, and embody, repeatedly. Now you may ask, if the field is this sensitive, how do I stay in alignment? And the answer is not rigidity, it is presence. Mastery of the field is not achieved by perfect thoughts, but by present awareness of thought. The moment you catch a limiting belief as it rises, you disarm its influence. The moment you witness fear and offer it compassion instead of suppression, you neutralize its charge. The field begins to shift not when you get it right, but when you become conscious enough to see yourself in real time and choose differently. This is where power begins. Not in perfection, but in precision. Not in control, but in coherence. Not in wishful thinking, but in inner congruence. You begin to live as a bridge between the inner and outer realms, a transmitter of mental light into the quantum sea. And here's the final paradox. The more aligned you become, the less you need to control. Because when your field is clean, reality flows to match you without resistance. You think it, and it comes. You intend it, and it arrives. You speak, and the field finishes your sentence before the words have left your lips. Not because you made it happen, but because you finally stopped blocking what was always meant for you. That is the secret to mental control. It is not the domination of reality. It is the remembrance of your role as its architect. And now, we move from knowledge to embodiment. The theory has been laid before you. The symbols have whispered their truths. Now, let us cross the threshold into the practical domain, where this wisdom becomes living power. You've now heard the mystery, felt the riddle, and glimpsed the invisible truth. Your energy field is not some abstract spiritual concept. It is your real-time blueprint. It is the echo of your consciousness, alive and responsive. But knowledge alone is not enough. Power arises when knowledge becomes practice, when breath becomes ritual, when the invisible is welcomed into the visible rhythm of your daily life. Every morning, before the world's noise climbs into your awareness, You must become the tuner of your own signal. Upon waking, before checking your phone, before speaking, before even moving too quickly, sit in stillness for 3 minutes. Place your hand over your heart and take 7 deep breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. With each breath, visualize light rising from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. Then ask yourself this one question, not with words but with feeling. What frequency do I choose to live from today? Do not rush the answer. Let it arise. Perhaps it's clarity or peace or boldness or divine trust. Once it arrives, hold that word or the image that it brings and see your body radiating it like a sun. Imagine your field expanding gently around you, carrying that frequency outward like ripples in golden water. This is not just visualization, it is a spiritual broadcast. Done daily, this ritual begins to prime your field. Like setting a magnetic compass, it orients the energy around you, and others will feel it without knowing why. The energy field responds fastest when your mind becomes single-pointed. Here is a practice used in ancient mystery schools, adapted for modern rhythm. Choose one desire, only one. Let's say it is abundance or healing or divine purpose. Close your eyes and see yourself already living the outcome. But do not see it as a movie. See it as if you are inside it. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Hear the sounds, smell the air. Engage all senses. Anchor this image in present tense awareness. Now comes the sacred key. Whisper this silently. So it is. So it has always been. This phrase breaks the illusion of linear time. It aligns you with the causal field, where all realities exist simultaneously. Now, let the image go. Do not chase it. Let it dissolve like a flame into wind. You've given the field your instruction, it is done. Repeat this daily for 21 days, not to make it happen, but to stabilize the signal. Just as you cleanse your body, you must cleanse your field. Many walk through life collecting energies that are not theirs, emotions, judgments, projections, even old thought forms. These cling like static and cloud your vibration. Here is a cleansing method that has been passed down in various forms through multiple traditions. Each night before sleep, sit quietly in darkness. Place a bowl of salted water beside you, salt being a natural conductor and absorber of spiritual residue. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Then say aloud or within, I release all that is not mine. I reclaim my field. I call my energy home. As you say this, visualize cords detaching. See gray smoke leaving your aura. See light returning to your core. When you're finished, pour the water down the drain. Do this nightly for 7 days. Anytime you feel off, heavy, or drained, you'll begin to notice you feel more like yourself again. That is not your imagination. That is purification of the field. Symbols do not just speak to the mind, they speak to the field. Throughout history, certain forms have been known to carry resonance. The flower of life, Metatron's cube, the Sri Yantra, the Vesica Piscis. Choose one of these sacred symbols and place it somewhere you will see it often, a journal, your desk, your phone background. But do more than look at it. Each day take 60 seconds to breathe into it. Visualize the symbol overlaying your own body. Each line, each curve, anchoring divine geometry into your energy field. These symbols act as field correctors. They realign your subconscious patterns to the architecture of divine order. This is why temples were built upon these designs. Because the field recognizes form. And when the form is sacred, the energy becomes stable. Once a week, preferably at night, stand before a mirror. Not as vanity, but as a witness. Look yourself in the eye. Not just the surface eye, but the eye behind the eye. And say, I command this field with the light of truth. I release all false beliefs. I welcome only what is aligned with divine law. Speak it with presence. Speak it with authority. Then watch yourself. Feel how the words enter your body, not just your ears. This is not self-talk. This is energetic reprogramming through visual resonance. And finally, place your hand on the mirror. Breathe once and walk away without looking back. You've sent the command. The field is listening. Even after all this, there will be moments when doubt creeps in. When the field feels sluggish, unresponsive, do not panic. This is not failure. This is purification. When you begin commanding the field, old energies will rise to the surface. Limiting beliefs, ancestral patterns, subconscious sabotage. They do not rise because you're doing something wrong. They rise because you're finally doing something right. When this happens, return to stillness. Don't try to push through. Sit, feel, breathe. Let the emotion pass through the body like a guest who has stayed too long. Then remind yourself, I am not the thought. I am the field in which all thoughts arise. From this place, you regain sovereignty. You stop reacting, you start transmuting, and the field reorganizes. Now you have tools, rituals, protocols, practices, but more importantly, you have awareness. And awareness is the master key. It is what allows you to command, not by force, but by frequency. You are no longer at the mercy of your field. You are the shaper of it, the keeper of it, the animator of its rhythm. And now, as we come to the closing of this transmission, let us return to the mystery and seal the journey. There is a moment, just before the storm breaks, when the wind stops moving and the trees stand still listening. There is a moment between the inhale and the exhale, when time itself bows to something deeper, something older. That moment is now. You have walked through layers of knowledge that once belonged only to priests, mystics, and ancient initiates. You've remembered what modern life made you forget, that you are not a passenger in this world. You are a composer of energy, a weaver of unseen threads, a living instruction to the field that surrounds you. And now, as you stand in this awareness, you must make a sacred decision. Will you return to the fog, to the sleepwalking cycle of reaction, confusion, and disconnection? Or will you choose here and now to become the still flame in the center of the storm, the one who commands not with force but with frequency? Because the truth is not waiting for you in the sky. It is not sealed in a book. It is not hiding behind a guru. It is already in your field. Everything you desire, every shift you seek, every breakthrough you crave, it is all orbiting around the signal you emit. Shift the signal, and reality shifts in kind. But let us remember, this is not about tricks. This is not about bending the universe to your ego's will. This is about remembering your original vibration, the one you carried before the world told you who to be, the one you felt in dreams before language, the one you sang in silence before birth. That frequency still lives inside you, quiet, untouched, waiting for the day you stop chasing life and start tuning to it. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to become aware. Aware of how you think, aware of what you carry, aware of the images you worship in the temple of your mind. And from that awareness, choose. Choose the thoughts that are aligned with truth. Choose the emotions that harmonize with peace. Choose the beliefs that unlock the gates of abundance, not fear. Because every thought is a prayer, every feeling is an offering, every mental image is a prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. So now, pause. Listen not to me, but to the field around you. It still is. It is alert. It is alive. And it is listening. What will you whisper into its ear? What reality will you shape with the weight of your focus, the clarity of your breath, the calm of your soul? Will you command chaos or coherence? Will you embody fear or frequency? The field does not judge, it simply reflects. It mirrors who you choose to become. And now, the mirror is clear. The silence is open. The field is tuned. The question is not, can you do it? The question is, will you remember what you are and become it? Because you were never meant to beg for change. You were meant to radiate it. You were never meant to follow the world. You were meant to tune it. And now the path is open. The truth was never lost. It was only waiting for you to remember. So remember and command.